It was a rough week in the NFL and life in general. Nick Mangold passing away. I was a huge Jets fan, and growing up, watching him brick. Curtis, my favorite, Martin, Chad Pennington, even going back further, Vinny Testaverde, Wayne Corbett, like all the OGs out there. For me, it was a tough one. It really was. My brother gave me a text. He's like, "Yo, I had to do a double time." I'm like, "You serious? This is crazy." So it's wild. It really is. It came from, I know I watched Rex Ryan on AR Live, and he was like, all of a sudden here while I was watching this, I'm like, oh my gosh, is there like 20 pounds of onions about to hit me? It was really sad. Just yeah, crazy. I don't even know what to say, to be honest with you. But I'm going to be doing a 74 pick mock draft. Nick Mangold is the MVP of the week. But let's get into this mock draft. And with the New Orleans Saints at number 1 overall, you got to go ahead and take a quarterback if you're picking number 1 overall. I saw a little bit of Shook there, a little Shook magic right now. I mean, it's too early to tell. I need to see more from Tyler Shook until we can get a really understanding. Threw the ball quite a bit. They were trying to get back into the game, but bring on the quarterback controversy, right? I'm taking Fernando Mendoza, the Hoosier, and definitely going to be a huge upgrade for them. He's got that Drake May type profile. Maybe not quite as athletic, maybe more of a Jared Goff type profile. Definitely has a good enough arm to make all the throws. He's got a plus arm. He's a sneaky athlete. All right, he'll take off, give you some wheels and stuff like that. He is a field general, though. He's going to be able to read the field. Those back shoulder throws, definitely on the money with Fernando Mendoza. Be the quarterback of the future for this football team, and maybe can get them back to the Drew Brees days. Drew Brees. On to the Titans, number 2 overall. I'm taking pass rusher Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami, the Hurricane. Let's improve the pass rush, whether it's adding a wide receiver or a pass rusher. I go back and forth. Next week, I'll probably add in Jordan Tyson. This week, we go Reuben Bain. It is what it is. They need help. Jeez Louise, this football team is rough to watch right now. On to the Jets, Jets. What a great win in honor of Nick Mangold, 74. Man, it was all hard out there with Justin Fields playing really well. That team in general rallied when it mattered most, and we got our first win of this season. That's what I'm talking about. It's good not to be at that number 1 overall pick for once here, at least. Let's go on to this pick here where I am going to be looking at a multitude of positions, quarterback being one of those. When your owner comes out and starts slandering you, more than likely you're not going to be back the next season. I don't blame Justin either. I'm rooting for Justin. I really am. I love Justin Fields, and I hope nothing but the best for him. And you know what? I hope you go somewhere and you find a great place that really respects you and takes you seriously and all those sort of things, okay? We've got our own problems here in New York, if you haven't been able to tell, Justin, unfortunately. So with that being said, I'm taking a quarterback. I'm taking one of my favorite quarterbacks in this entire draft class, Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati, the Bearcat. You're like, geez, Louise, you have an obsession with this guy. And I put him at number 1 overall to the Jets a few weeks back. And I'm going to continue to do it with the Jets because I really believe in Sorsby. He's not perfect. I still think the accuracy under pressure has to get a little bit better. And it wasn't perfect this past week either. But Baylor's defense is nothing too crazy. I want to see more competition, the level of competition continue to rise because the toughest defense he faced was Nebraska. And yes, it was a bit of a different game script. However, I still want to see a little bit more of a Sorsby. Hopefully he makes a good playoff run and they can push out some tougher defenses. Sorsby's arm talent, his release, his athleticism, all remind me of Josh Allen type of player. And when you're competing against Josh Allen twice a year, well, we need a Josh Allen 2.0. On to the Browns here at number 4. I get it. This is a very controversial one as well. I just think at the end of the day, you have to look at the quarterback position. It really comes down to so many ways. But with that being said, they do have another first-round pick. 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Let's go ahead and add a top-flight wide receiver. All right. I'm going to go ahead and Jordan Tyson here. And we can turn around. We could potentially trade up a little bit. They have extra draft capital if we need to. We could definitely move up a little bit. So we have a little bit of ability to move up if we need to. Jordan Tyson assures them a number 1 weapon for this football team, which right now they don't have. So, you know, whether you believe in Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, they need a weapon. They need offensive line. They need a lot of help on this roster. On to the Raiders, number 5. They also could use a number 1 weapon. They could use a lot of help on their roster in general. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a monster onto their defensive line. I'm going to add in a jack of all trades, let him go rush off the passer, be a number 2 to go along with Mad Max Crosby. I don't care however you want to look at Arvell Reese. They could use linebacker help too. So getting Arvell Reese is just best player available. He's a stud. He's a rock star. He's one of the best players in college football, and he would be an immense talent for this football team. On to the Vikings. Skull, skull, skull. And should I say, with their quarterback situation right now? Do we go quarterback? I'm just saying, who knows, right? I'm not going to go quarterback. What I'll do here is, I think Jeremiah Love is one of the top players in this draft class by a big margin. You get somebody like that, you pair him up with Jordan Mason as that 1-2 punch, and I think they need a good run game. Really do, especially if this football team's going to succeed going forward with Kevin O'Connell. They rotate their running backs. I think you add in Jeremiah Love to be that replacement for Aaron Jones as the explosive element, right? They're lacking in explosiveness in their running back room right now. Mason's a great grinder, no doubt about it, but does he have that explosive element that Love has? And I would say no. I totally get the argument. Do you spend a top 10 pick on a running back? Their offensive line is good. Like, they have a good offensive line, at least run blocking wise. They can open up lanes for a guy like Jordan Love, and really, Jeremiah Love, Jordan Love. You're like, what are you talking about? I think that they can really benefit from a guy like Jeremiah Love. This is not like a Raiders situation where their offensive line is putrid and can't open up holes. On to the Giants at number 7 overall. And the Giants, I'm going to change it up this week. I go offensive line a lot. I'm going to go ahead and take a wide receiver. Why not? This class is so good. I'm going to take Mekhi Lemon from USC. That 1-2 punch if Wan'Dale Robinson isn't back. Or if you just say to yourself, look, we love this wide receiving class. We'll go ahead and a Cornell Tate or a Mekhi Lemon at number 7 or number 8 or wherever they end up picking in the draft. Hey, maybe Jordan Tyson's available. I'm taking any one of those guys. They're all really, really good football players. You have that tandem of 3 there, and Darius Slayton probably had his best week of the season. So Mekhi Lemon, Malik Neighbors, and then also, of course, Darius Slayton. On to the Dolphins here at number 8. Their offensive line had one of their better weeks of the season. So that was good to see. They needed it. They really did. And Tua with that visor. Okay, keep rocking the visor, Tua. You know what? They just wear an eye patch, too. You can keep that eye closed. It doesn't matter. He played one of his best games. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. There's a lot of good football players still available here. Peter Woods. You can pair him up with Grant. I mean, they've invested a lot. So that's why I'm not going to go that route as much as I do like Peter Woods. This is a tough one. I'm not going to lie. He's a good football player. Caleb Downs, very good football player. But we need to improve the cornerback room. You look into the future here. They need a lot of help. That's what we're going to go ahead and do. Build some secondary for this team. On the Cardinals at number 9, I'm going to go and improve this wide receiving room by adding another weapon. Cornell Tate from the Ohio State University. He's going to be that number 2 guy with Marvin Marvelous Harrison. You got Michael Wilson. That'd be your tandem of 3 right there as your grouping to help out Kyler Murray or whatever quarterback. I get it. Quarterback's going to be in consideration here. But I'm probably going to look at more of a day 2 pick at the quarterback. I'm not going to give that spoiler away right now. I will be looking at quarterback, just probably more in day 2, something they can develop. Kyler Murray's contract, I believe he will still be around here unless somebody makes a trade, which is possible. Maybe the Steelers call him up and say, hey, look, we'll give you something for him. Who knows? It's very possible. But for right now, I'm going to go Cornell Tate, add another weapon, you know what I'm saying? And then we can look at day 2, see some options out there. There's still plenty available. On to the Panthers, number 9. Panthers. What happened this week? Well, Bryce Young was out. That's what happened. And they didn't do a good job of protecting Andy Dalton either. That's another big problem. Maybe we go offensive line. There, guys. It is what it is. I'm going to go and improve the defense some more. Okay, they need to improve their defense. The defense has to get better all around. Let's go add another pass rusher into this room. I am going to, I do go with David Bailey quite a bit. I mean, I think he's a great football player. They also need linebacker really, really bad. You know what? Sonny Styles also a really good football player. Like, they need linebacker really, maybe more than edge rusher at this point. They can't cover anybody, and the injuries have been a problem too there. I mean, Wallace got banged up this week. Rosenboom's been all banged up at times. Let's go get Sonny Styles. All right, Sonny Styles, also a good blitzer too, but hey, they've invested a little bit in the pass rush. Maybe it's time to invest in that linebacking room a little bit. Sonny Styles is a heck of a football player. Is it a little early? I don't know. I think Styles is definitely a really good football player. You can make the argument he's a top 10 player in this draft class. On to number 11, the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, where do we go with the Rams? Quarterback, right? No, wrong. I think the Super Bowl window is open. Matthew Stafford's under contract. Maybe we look at day 2 for a possible quarterback upgrade here too, or into the future, like a developmental upgrade, of course. Like that's not like you need to upgrade right now for Stafford, who's playing really, really good football. We'll go ahead and add in Spencer Fanu to be that right tackle of the future for this football team. I'm going to go with Fanu over Maui Noah in this case scenario because like Fanu has a little more upside and he can give them, I mean, there's a little bit more there that I feel confident in the coaching staff being able to develop that some, with his hand technique and stuff like that. On to the Bengals, where I think offensive line, we got to go offensive line here, or defense. Pass rush is also a pretty big need. I'm going to lie, pass rush is quite a big need. So what do we do here for the Bengals? Let's get some defense. Even though the offensive line, I don't know. There's the trenches, man. That's all I can say. They need trench help. Either which way, grab trench help. Let's go get David Bailey, the pass rusher from Texas Tech. They need to continue to invest in it. Trey Hendrickson's probably gone after this season, so we need to beef it up. On to the Commanders, number 13 overall. They also need pass rush. They need it bad. So I am going to, you know what? I'm not going to force a pass rush here. I am going to simply put Deron Payne is playing great this year. It's one thing I will say, but long-term wise, they still could look at an upgrade there. That's something to think about. Not gonna lie, pass rush is still a big need though. Gotta go pass rush as much as maybe we're I don't want to avoid BPA. Cassius Howe is also a really good football player too. Like I feel good about Cassius Howe and what he can bring for this defense. They need help there. Oh, that is a tough one. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to go Cassius Howe. I already picked it, and I feel good about it. I do. I said that twice. That probably is not a good sign. I do actually like Cassius Howe a ton. I think he's a fantastic football player, and they need edge help. On to the Houston Texans, number 14 overall. Houston, their defensive interior has actually been good. Jalen Redmond's been fantastic this season. He's kind of an underrated football player right now. So, I don't know. I'm just going to actually go take Caleb Downs. I'm going best player available. You put Caleb Downs and Caden Bullock as that 1-2 punch. Like the combination too. Like Bullock as your free range safety and then Downs is kind of like your chess piece that you can play down in the box, can play in like a hook zones and stuff like that. Like Downs, man, that would be a fantastic little secondary push for this football team. So we're going to rock that out. We got 2 second-round picks as well, back to back, that we can address some more talent, whether it's offensive interior, whether it's grabbing a running back or grabbing, some more defensive help in the second. Secondary is good. We got to have more secondary linebackers, what I meant to say. On to, or maybe edge rusher 2 is a possibility. We could look at edge rusher for the future, Danielle Hunter. Anyway, going on to this, the Browns. Let's go quarterback now. All right, I said let's wait a little bit. Ty Simpson's on the board. This is where I feel good about. Let's go get Ty Simpson at 16. He's still in the clock. You might say, oh, that's a hyper unrealistic. Why did Sorsby go here, right? I get it. It is what it is. But hey, we're having some fun. I'm having some fun at least. I don't know. You may not be. You may be throwing stuff at the screen. But I'm going Ty Simpson here to get their quarterback. Myles Garrett is clearly unhappy. He wants to win football games. This organization, this fan base, enough's enough, right? We got to continue to take chances on quarterback. And we get ourselves a number 1 weapon in Jordan Tyson. Now we get a shot at quarterback with Ty Simpson. I'm willing to take that chance on a 1-year starter that has played fantastic this season. Let's go to the Ravens here. The stop on Peter Woods. This is an easy BPA approach. That's no-brainer. Peter Woods is probably a top 10 player in this draft class. Maybe he hasn't had the year he wanted, but Clemson hasn't had the year that they wanted over there. So you get yourself a stud on that interior. They need depth first and foremost. Matabuki's injury is very serious, and hopefully he comes back healthy and everything like that. Broderick Washington is out this year too, so he's been injured. They need more help on that defensive line. Let's go on to the Bears, number 17 overall. For the Bears, boy, they could use an interior defensive lineman. They could use more pass rush in general on their defensive front. They could use a linebacker. There's a couple of different areas that this football team could go. I am going to go ahead and take a defensive lineman. I'm going to go grabbing Keldrick Falk here to the pass rush to the defensive line and just continue to bolster that up a little bit more. On to the Cowboys. Boy, their secondary has to get better. Their defense has to get better in general. It's just not really a good package right now for this football team. Their offense is great. You can't consistently have to rely on that offense scoring 40-plus points a game. Their offensive line really struggled versus the Broncos, which are one of the best teams at rushing the passer in the NFL. You can make the argument they are the best at rushing the passer in the NFL. So it was not an easy to deal with those guys. However, their offensive line did not do very good this week. That could be an area we could upgrade. It absolutely could be. And especially with the tackles that are available, Francis Mauigoa is on the board. I'm not passing up on a guy like that just to force a defensive pick at this point. So I'm going to go take Francis Mauigoa. Can be that right tackle of the future. I don't care. I mean, they're good at guards, so it's not like they need to do that. You could always try to move Booker into center, possibly. BB's not been bad, though, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying Mauigoa will be the right tackle of the future. Figure it out. They can figure that situation out. Steele had a bit of a rough game, too. On to the Steelers at number 19 overall. Quarterback, still something, even though wide receiver. It is interesting, right? But I'm going to go ahead and take a quarterback and continue that trend. Dante Moore from Oregon. We need to find the future Dante Moore. Even if Rodgers comes back for another season, they still need quarterback. On to the 49ers at number 20 overall. 49ers, their offensive line did not do very good this week. Let's improve it. Let's go get Caden Proctor from Alabama, be the long-term left tackle. Even Trent Williams had a bit of a rough week, too, versus Houston. I mean, Trent Williams still very, very good. I'm going to take Caden Proctor, be the long-term left tackle. I'm cool if you want to stick Proctor in a guard early on. They could use an upgrade there too. So just continue to improve the offensive line. It's a must for this football team. Let's go on to the Chargers. They also need offensive line help. They really do. Injuries have been a big part of that too. So I got to take that in with a little bit of grain of salt overall. It would be defensive line still be kind of a top priority for me. I don't know if I'm going to force a defensive line pick here. So with that being said, I think we will go ahead and try to improve the offensive line. Let's take a guard here. Let's go Vega Ione from Penn State. He's been fantastic over there. He's been a solid brick. The one thing I will say, him and Shelton on that left side have been very, very good. And they need to improve the offensive line. I don't know if Zion Johnson's going to be getting a contract extension. Bradley Boozman, they could upgrade there. We're going to add some more help for Justin Herbert. Protect him, right? It's a great quarterback. He's still playing phenomenal despite a bad offensive line right now. On to the Detroit Lions at number 22. Detroit Lions, well, what do we want to do for the Detroit Lions? I'm going to continue to look at the pass rush here. I think that's something we can really look at. And I am going to be taking a look at Romello Height from Texas Tech. He's had a fantastic season. He's a great pass rusher. He'll add that 1-2 punch in there with Aiden Hutchinson. With his athleticism, too, to bend the corner. Yeah, I'm vibing that with Aiden Hutchinson. I think that'd be a cool 1-2 punch. On to the Seattle Seahawks. Well, they got plenty of pass rush. That's not really their problem by any stretch of the means. They could use a linebacker in here. I'm not going to force a linebacker pick in here. I don't know if there's anybody I feel overconfident in. CJ Allen's a decent football player, maybe a day 2 type of pick. So let's go and get a corner. Let's go and get Jermod McCoy. The fall stops here. This would be maybe like a Jeffrey Simmons type of fall, possibly your hope for Seattle. You pair him up, you get that Reek Woolen replacement in there with Witherspoon. Whew, that defense would be so scary for Mike McDonald. On to the Bills. Number 24 overall. I am looking now for the Bills at replacing a tough, if they lose David Edwards, that'd be a tough one, right? It would not be an easy one. The guy that I would be looking at here would be a dude from Texas A&M. I do like Chase Basantes a lot. I typically go with Chase Basantes. I do think he's more of a back end of the first round guy. I think he's that good of a football player, and I think he's a perfect fit for this football team. Keep that offensive line of strength. Not to mention, Connor McGovern's also a free agent too, so they're going to have to find some young offensive linemen there to help fill that need. On to the Bucs. Their offensive line has continued to struggle. They've had a lot of injuries. That's part of it. However, their offensive line is something we could really consider. Bourne's had a bit of a down season. I'm sure I think he's playing injured or something like that because he just doesn't look even as good as his rookie season. I am going to continue the defense, though, here. Yaya Diaby's been really good. That's one thing I will say. So I don't know if I need to take a pass rusher at this point either. With all the pass rushers off the board, I'm not going to force that. Linebacker's a big need, too, for them. Once again, I don't know if I feel super confident taking a linebacker here, so I'm not going to do any of that. Instead, what I'm going to do is do a little bit something different. Even though Cade Otton's been fantastic, he is a free agent. So if they lose him, this is not really a big need. It's not that big of a need for them. I'm just trying to think of other areas. Their starting 5 offensive linemen are under contract and everything like that. So the only other area that I would consider maybe go defensive interior. You could say to yourself, Logan Hall is possibly gone after this season. Maybe we'll do that, actually. All right, maybe we'll go back to the defensive line. Let's invest in it a little bit more. Caleb Banks. I love Caleb Banks. It just comes down to the injury situation. We'll keep him in Florida, though, I guess, right? A safer pick, maybe if Amari Washington comes out, would be something you could consider. I'm going to go Caleb Banks, though, for the upside. Really like him. On to the Patriots. Patriots. They look like the like the Tom Brady Patriots again. Drake May is just he's playing lights out, man. He's on a different level right now. I am going to. I'm out of the okay. Let's stop the fall here. Chris Bell. I know receiver's not the top priority. Booty's been awesome. Diggs has been awesome. Pop Douglas has been coming on lately. I don't care though. We're gonna add in Chris Bell. I mean, Chris Bell. You got Kyle Williams in the wing. Chris Bell can be that hopefully, of course, I know the A.J. Brown comps are going to come out, but hopefully could be a little bit of the A.J. Brown physical presence. If there's one thing maybe they do lack in the wide receiving room, it would be more of the physical presence. So that's why I'm cool with it. Chris Bell is a top 20 player in this draft class. He's insane right now. On to the Eagles at 27. Not to mention, hey, I had Eagles. I might consider him at this point. Howie Roseman's probably saying, what? Chris Bell? Oh, I'm taking him all day. But we're not going to do that here. Obviously, he's gone off the board. I'm going to pass rush is the area I would really be leaning at for sure. I think pass rush or cornerback as well. But between the two, BPA-wise, that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to lean corner here. I think Avion Terrell would be a fantastic pick. You pair him up on the outside with Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean in the slot. You build your secondary, young secondary that can be your dominant core now for the future. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts on the clock here. What do we do for the Indianapolis Colts? They could also use a linebacker. They could use – I don't force anything here with the Indianapolis Colts. They're just in a position that, hey, you got a heck of a football roster. You just go with a football player that fits what you're looking for, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go with a Connor Lomu, Utah tackle to be that long-term right tackle of the future for them. Braden Smith's been excellent. He's going to a contract year, though. Maybe he doesn't get re-signed. Lomu, plug and play. Yeah, he's a left tackle, so projecting him over to the right tackle is always a tricky situation, but he's a really good athlete. And I like good athletes when they talk about transitioning. On to the Rams here. Caleb Lomu's off the board, but we went after, got Spencer Fanu, his teammate. Now we could look at quarterback, right? But at this point, am I taking the next quarterback on the board? Lenore Sellers, I don't know if he's going to come out, to be honest with you. I always find that tricky whether or not to put him in a mock draft. I think there's a chance he comes out. I really do. And this would be a great landing spot for him if he were to decide to come out. However, I just don't know. I don't really know where he's at right now. I could see him coming back. He's still a really young football player. Maybe he hits the transfer portal. For that reason, I'm not going to be mocking Lenore Sellers, but a guy that I continue to come back to and I really love. I'm a huge fan of this guy, Darian Mensah from Duke. He's such an underrated quarterback. I've been meaning to do a video on him. I got to get to it here really, really soon. But Mensah is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in college football. I think his pocket presence is really good. He's got enough arm talent. That's his biggest weakness, is his arm talent. And it's unfortunate he doesn't have a rocket arm or anything like that. But in general, I think he can diagnose the field. He's a solid processor. He's not the worst decision maker. He'll have an occasional lapse here and there, but overall, he's a good decision maker. He's not throwing into triple coverage or anything like that. He is a very, very good quarterback at Duke. I expect him to come back another season. If he does come out, though, he's a first-round guy. He really is. I'm taking Darian Mensah. The way he's playing right now, he's too good of a football player. He needs to start getting some more love, in my opinion. Darian Mensah, let's go. Come on, Darian Mensah. On to number 30, the Kansas City Chiefs on the clock. I am going to be taking a look at adding some defensive talent here, some more edge rushing room. I'm going to go get LT Overton from Alabama. I think Overton's just a really good football player. I do. I don't think he's going to be a high-level, top 10 edge rusher or anything like that. I just think he fits a Spags mold, is a strong edge setter that could even be a transition to the inside down the line. However, I still think he can be a full-time edge rusher. Really do like LT Overton a lot. I still think he's just going to be a guy that kind of goes through the cracks a little bit because of the lack of production. And yes, the film hasn't been perfect or anything like that. I don't know. I think he's been a really good football player. And the way that they ask him to kind of more set the edge, he's not just rushing the quarterback every single time either, which kind of hurts his stats and hurts his production too. But I see really good strength in the hands and ability to lock out consistently. On to the Cowboys, number 31. And for the Dallas Cowboys, with their last pick, remember we shocked everybody here, including myself and Francis Malinoa. Let's get defense. Okay, we got to get defense. I can't continue to put that off. Let's go ahead and Keith Abney, the second from Arizona State. He's been fantastic this season and somebody that has great ball skills. Add another playmaker into this room to go along with Deron Bland. Get yourself that 1-2 punch in the secondary. They were playing way too much man coverage too right now. It was way too easy. They're picking on Bridges all week. I felt bad for him. I'm like, dude, why are you letting Bridges go one-on-one with their top receivers and you're just saying, hey, we'll give him space? I mean, Troy Franklin, no problem, right? I mean, come on. What are you doing? I don't know. Whatever. Whatever it is. On to the Denver Broncos, number 32. Super Bowl champions, by the way. Okay, let's go. All right, I like it. Green Bay Packers versus Denver Broncos Super Bowl. Wow, that'd be an interesting show about. I am going to take Kenyon Sadiq here, the Oregon Duck. I still think that they could use a long-term tight end in this room so he can develop a season behind Evan Ingram, who is under contract. But you pair in that unicorn, maybe, that Sean Payton is looking for in this offense. On to number 33, the second-round pick we go for the New Orleans Saints, and we took quarterback with that number 1 overall pick. Let's just improve the roster, all right? Let's get a football player that's going to come in here and help them out some more. I am looking to improve. A little assessment of the board. Let's get Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M. I think he's best player available right now. He's been so good. Oh, my gosh. And I love Marcel Reed. He's still a guy that I believe can be a first-round pick at some point. He needs to come back to school. He just does. He needs to improve his accuracy and maybe some decision-making, too, here and there. I think that Casey Concepcion has been unbelievable. Him and Mario Craver. Whoa, gosh, Craver's a first-rounder next year. Titans at second-round pick at number 34. We went after an edge rusher. Let's go get a wide receiver here as well. I want to add another weapon in here for Cam Ward. You got Elikai Manor. Let's find somebody else in this offense to continue that trend. There's still some very good wide receivers. I'm going to get Jeremy Bernard. I think his versatility to play inside and on the outside is going to be really, really helpful. And definitely be another playmaker in here with Jamari DK. That would be your little tandem of 3 going into the future. DK, Bernard, and Ayumena. On to the New York Jets. After going quarterback, we have to go ahead and improve a multitude of areas. I am going to take a safety here. I'm going to take Kamari Ramsey from USC, one of my favorite safeties in this entire draft class. And if you're talking just strictly a free safety, he's one of the best in the business right now. Zaki Wheatley is also very good in that department. Thieneman as well. Like those 3 guys, it's a good safety class. It really is. You know what? I mean, I could talk myself into a couple of different players here in terms of what they have, because you look at this right now. Malachi Moore is the type of player who I think can thrive like in the hybrid box role sort of thing. Maybe we want to get more of a sideline to sideline ball skill type of guy in Thieneman. Ramsey can also do that. He's a really good safety. Zaki Wheatley is also really good at free safety sort of role. Let's go get Thieneman from Oregon. All right, I'm going to go get Dylan Thieneman. A little bit more range there. You know, I like Ramsey a lot too. Very good safety class. It is, I think it's an underrated class, actually. This safety class, there's some legit dudes. We're going to get off the board here very, very soon. On to the Browns. Remember, look at the draft class we've had so far. Let me show you our picks. Jordan Tyson, Ty Simpson. Come on. You got to like that, right? Hopefully. I'm going to improve the offensive line next. We got to do that. I think Connor Lew comes back, so I'm not going to project that. Okay. What I am going to do here is go take my top center off the board, Parker Brailsford from Alabama. Yes, he's undersized. I don't care. He meets enough size threshold where it's like this guy could be Jason Kelsey 2.0. I think his film is fantastic. He's so strong. He's so good with his leverage. He's got some fantastic second-level blocks. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize. He's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I love Brailsford. He is fan. I need to do a film study on Brailsford, too. Wow. Actually, you know what? I would take Brailsford over Connor Lew. I really would. I would take Brailsford over Connor Lew. On to the Raiders at number 37 overall. I am going to be looking at, we got Arvell Reese. We could look at a developmental quarterback here. I could also just say, let's continue to improve this roster, right? Because they need help in the roster. And overall, it's not ideal. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be taking, I'm going to say Arvell Reese more of an edge rusher type anyway. So I'm not going to force that sort of need. I will be taking a safety because I think the safety class is really, really good. I'm going to go take Zaki Wheatley from Penn State to be that free safety roamer with Jeremy Chin. Yeah, I like that fit. I think he'll be the free safety, that 1-2 punch. Isaiah Polamalu can be like their third guy at this point. I think they need an upgrade there big time. Let's go on to the Vikings. Skull, where we went Jeremiah Love with their first pick in a bit of a controversial move, right? You're saying, oh boy, that's crazy. We could go quarterback here, right? Let's go take Garrett Nussmeier. Jordan Mayava, Kate Klubnik, Carson Beck. In the third round, I actually will consider that. I'm not going to lie. Okay. But not for right now. No, we'll continue to improve the roster elsewhere because there's other needs that we need to improve upon. And with that, I am, oh man, if Brailsford was here, I would actually consider that. Ryan Kelly's a great football player. He is under contract, but the injuries have kind of caught up a little bit. I don't know if I love Apani in more of a wide zone system. I see him as more of a gap guy. So that's why I'm not going to force that pick in there. Just kind of being straight. So yeah, I think we're going to avoid that pick for right now. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go take a linebacker. I'm going to go take CJ Allen from Georgia to be that 1-2 punch in there with Blake Cashman. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I think Allen will be a nice solid backer in there. And then we go on to the Giants here with that first pick. We went after a receiver. We went Mekhi Lemon, changing things up a little bit. Let's get an offensive lineman. Let's either guard or tackle. I think I'm going to get somebody that has some versatility, but could be this team's long-term right tackle. Caleb Tiernan, going to be the pick for me. I could see him moving inside the guard. However, I don't think he needs the force to do that. He is on the left side, so projecting him to the right side is always a little bit tricky. But with a lot of these guys right now, you'd have to be projecting with any of these guys. Even if I went with like Drew Shelton, who I really like a lot too. But I'm going to go Tiernan, good football player at Northwestern. He's obviously a smart football player too, Northwestern. Whew. On to the Dolphins here with their pick at number 8 in the second round. First pick, we got defensive help in Mansour Delane, and we could double dip on the defensive line very, very easily. I'm going to go a different route, though. I'm going to improve the offensive line some more. I still think it's a big need for them. That's why we're not done with that. We're going to go with Austin Fairfield from Ohio State, the university there. I think he moves inside the guard. So, yes, he's really impressed me. I've watched one game on film on him, so let me be real. I have not watched a ton, but I have watched one game of him, and I was very impressed. He was kind of like a must-watch because I've been hearing about him. Austin Fairfield is really a dude that I think could I'm going to have to do a field study on here really soon, but definitely could rise up boards. And you never know. We'll see where he ends up going. But I think he's better than Gooseby. I'm not a big fan of Gooseby at the moment, I'll be honest. On the Cardinals, we might go Gooseby here. No, they do need to. We need to invest in the offensive line for this football team. We got Carnell Tate in the first round, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and press the offensive line now. Linebacker also be something. I'm not going to force a linebacker here, though. I'm going to go take offensive line. I am going to take a guy that I like. It's Drew Shelton from Penn State. Put him inside a guard. Put him over right tackle. I don't care. I think he could play guard or tackle. He's got an interesting build. He kind of has like a Troy Fautanu type of build. So, yeah, he's a good football player, though. I think he's another one of these guys that are a little underrated in this draft class. I like his hand technique. On to Carolina Panthers. First pick, we went Sonny Styles. Now let's go ahead and we could look at a couple of different areas here. We could look at adding some more defensive line help, or we could look at adding a safety in here too. Lathan Ransom certainly has a chance to be the long-term safety, though, so maybe we avoid something like that, right? How about we improve the offensive line a little bit more, right? Maybe improving the offensive line is not a bad idea. There's a real chance that Cade Mays gets an offer somewhere else, and if that's the case, then maybe they need a center. And look, Apani Laulu could also play guard for them. Hunt's a little banged up right now, so there's that. Christensen's a free agent. This offensive line, maybe it's time to add a little more youth in here. They're paying a lot of guys too, so at some point they're gonna have to go a little cheaper. I'll go with Apani Laulu because their offensive line hasn't been perfect this season. It really hasn't, and they can use an upgrade. They can use some more help there. On the Falcons, they could also use an upgrade on their offensive line. Oh my gosh! Say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Look, he's not he needs to probably retire at this point. I love Kirk. I'm a Michigan State fan. What he brought to Michigan State through the years, I will never forget that, and I love him as a football player. Respect him, but it might be time. All right, it might be time. For the Falcons, though, with this pick, I'm not ruling out adding another weapon into this offense. Like, let's be real. They kind of need to improve a little bit with adding another weapon. So, yes, secondary could be improved. You can continue to add another weapon in there or another cornerback, but man, it is a tough one. I think I could add another wide receiver here very easily. I want to find a complement to what they have if I'm going to do that. And at this point, Denzel Boston, I'd say more of like a Chris Brazzell, maybe. Deion Burks would be interesting in the third round, too. We could go with Deion Burks in the third round. And in that case, I guess we could add a cornerback here and get somebody in there for like a Mike Hughes long-term replacement. Go with like a Chris Johnson or a Will Lee. Will Lee would be pretty interesting. Chris Johnson's also a heck of a football player. I'll go ahead and take Chris Johnson here. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and take Chris Johnson. It's a tough one, but I'm thinking about it in a wide receiver earlier. More and more I think about it. On to the Bengals here. First pick, we got pass rush. We got David Bailey. Let's go ahead and beef up the offensive line now some more. Let's get some help there. We need to. And with this pick, I am going to be taking, probably going to be taking a guard here. Giddings Dunker, I know, has a lot of people hyped up on him. He's definitely a dude. He's an interesting build. All right. I'm definitely going to be watching out for him. I think we're actually going to take Giddings Dunker. He's going to have more run blocking ability. Maybe they get more under center if they get a new coach as hell. He could be their right guard. I don't mind that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and Dunker's an interesting player. He really is. I'm going to go ahead and go with Giddings Dunker here because I just think that they need to instill the running game a little bit more. You move him inside to guard. He's got a very, very interesting profile. And I do wonder a little bit about how good he's going to be in pass protection right off the jump. But you talk about if this team gets a new coaching staff, they implement a little more wide zone sort of stability, get more under center, as I said. Dunker would be a great addition. Him and Cade Pieper, also, I like Pieper a lot. I think Pieper might be their best draftable offensive lineman there that they have. But we'll go Dunker. We'll change it up a little bit here. Somebody that I think with some size profile. You pair him up next to Marius Mims. Curious to see how his anchor will work on the inside. That is going to be a bit of a concern there. Certainly has the raw talent, though. We'll see. We'll see, man. I'm curious about that one. On to the Houston Texans. Houston, we got after Caleb Downs in the first round. Still, offensive line is something this team could improve a little bit for sure. And this is a guy actually that I think would be better at guard. Trevor Gooseby. And the reason I say that, I just don't know if he's the most flexible athlete. Let's put him inside at left guard. That's kind of, teams are not going to draft him to be a guard. I totally get this is not going to be a realistic pick, but I actually like Gooseby in at guard. I think he could be a really good football player because it limits some of that lack of lateral agility a little bit. But he has this strength profile where I have no problem with him being able to hunker down and leverage. And with his length profile, I'm just saying, I think that'd be a really interesting sort of move for this football team. So let's go Gooseby here for them. And then with their next pick, I'm going to go, it's between linebacker. EJ been nice for them with Azeez Al-Shaair. So that grouping's been fine. I'm not super worried about that. I'm actually going to go with defensive interior here. Let's get some more youth on that defensive line, like the inside especially, is something we need to look at. And there's still some really, really good football players here available. I am going to, I think Amari Washington probably ends up coming back. But if he doesn't, how about we go ahead and we can go and rocking Christian Miller would make a lot of sense. I think he definitely comes out, or Katie McDonald, either one of those guys. I'm going to go ahead and take Amari Washington, though, here from Oregon, and would definitely upgrade that team with his length and his quickness off the snap. Let him develop a little more. Maybe you can bring back Rankins and settle back another year or something like that, and then while he continues to develop a little bit. On the Jags here, on their defense, we could use some help. We could use some more help at offense. Maybe I don't know. I'm just saying they could use a lot of different areas, I feel like. But I'm going to add in a defensive lineman as well here. They need more pass rush, simply put. Which guy am I going to go with here? Bear Alexander. I love Bear Alexander a lot, but maybe probably more of a third-round type of pick. This guy I feel like is a little bit underrated. He's finally been playing better. And I know there's some off-the-field stuff, but I do want to highlight him. Maybe we'll highlight him in the third round or something like that. With that being said, I'm going to shift and go with Kamari Ramsey. I just feel better about Ramsey. I think he'd be a really, really good safety for this football team. You pair him up in there as that 1-2 punch with Eric Murray. That would be that secondary going into next season. The Baltimore Ravens here with this next pick. And I am actually going to shake things up a little bit. Do not scratch your eyes. You are really witnessing something here. Joe Royer is very interesting. I like Joe Royer a lot. Very good football player. He's had one heck of a season, too, for the Bearcats. I'm going to go with a guy who's also had a heck of a season, Michael Trigg from Baylor. He's an insane dude. I'm telling you, this is one of the more fun players in college football to watch. I've been a huge fan of Michael Trigg. It just comes down to some of the transfer stuff, off the field things. Like, those are all going to have to be ironed out a little bit with Michael Trigg. But the film, him as a football player, he's one of the most dominant, the catch point tight ends, one-on-one. Good luck. Good luck. You better bring your A game to cover Michael Trigg. He's such an imposing weapon. And he could be that. Look, if Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews, one of those guys, I imagine comes back, maybe both, you never know. They could use another tight end in there. On to the Bears. First round pick, we added in Keldrick Folk. Let's go ahead and add in some help, maybe with a little running back here. Maybe we could add a running back in here. Jonah Coleman's one guy I really, really like a lot. And I think that's the route we're going to go. Go get Jonah Coleman to be that 1-2 punch. I think he's a better pass protection back, too, than Manungai. Manungai is not a very good pass protector. So Jadarian Price, also fun. But I think Jadarian Price struggles in pass pro. So let's not have that. Price would be interesting here, too. But I'm going to go with Coleman. Then we go on to Cowboys. They could also use a running back here. First pick, we got Francis Maui Noah to continue that offensive line. Keith Abney in the second. Defense, though, is the thing we need to continue to improve. The safety room has to get better, and there's still some good safeties on the board. Fortunately, they don't have Jelani McDonald. They only have Michael Taft from Texas. I would go with Jelani McDonald. However, Aleem McNeil-Warren's here, and I think he would be a great replacement for Donovan Wilson here. So I think that's a good pick, too. Jelani McDonald's a great football player. Aleem McNeil-Warren could even be a first-round pick. It wouldn't shock me at the end of the day. He's a freakazoid. So let's go ahead and improve the secondary some. We're seeing what, like 4 safety go off in the second round. It is a good safety class. I'm just saying. This might be one of the strengths of this draft class. Pittsburgh, let's add in a corner. I think we got to add a corner. Weapons, something too, but they could add somebody in free agency possibly. Roman Wilson had his best game, maybe his career too. They need a cornerback. We're going to add one. Let's see. Which cornerback do we want to add? How about we go Jermaine Matthews Jr. from the Ohio State University? He's played excellent this season. He could play on the outside or in the slot, too, for this football team. Has a little versatility. Really smooth athlete. Good length, too. Well, let's go on to the 49ers here at 52. And it's just ever apparent. This team, without Bryce Huff, without Nick Bosa. Bosa's done for the year with the ACL. Huff's out right now. It's just they have no pass rush. Pass rush is a big problem. I mean, when those guys come back next year, of course, and Huff should come back here in a little bit, but man, it's still tough. Mikael Williams being a rookie. What do I do with this edge position? Because they need help. They really, really do. Do I force another edge rusher, take a fourth guy? It's definitely possible. I'm going to take a wide receiver, though, here. Just feel like that's probably the best player available at this point. We're going to go with a power slot, like in a Jawan Jennings sort of role replacement in Elijah Surratt, Waffle House. He's such a good football player. Yeah, Waffle House bringing it there to San Fran. On to the Chargers. We went offensive line. We went Ione there with their first pick to replace Zion Johnson possibly, or just one of their offensive linemen in general. They need an upgrade on that interior. Bradley Boozman, also a guy that they could upgrade. Then we go on to their next pick. I'm going to take an edge rusher. Let's take some defensive line. I am going to take Mateo Uiagalelei from Oregon, a really solid duck there on that defensive line. Been a consistent presence. I don't think he's an insane athlete or anything like that. Maybe Harbaugh would look for more of an athlete, possibly. It's definitely an R. Mason Thomas, Anto Saka possibility there. Uiagalelei, more of the polished player, really good hands. I like Uiagalelei. I'm a Ducks fan too, so there's a bit of bias possibly. Lions, 54, first round pick. We got an edge rusher from Mellow Height to be that Knicks 1-2 punch with Aiden Hutchinson. Now, I'm going to go ahead and there's a couple areas we could look at. Cornerback depth, possibly something we could consider here. Their interior defense line hasn't been great. Tyler Williams, a rookie. Let's give him a little bit of time there. Defensive tackle is a position that typically takes a couple of years to get really good at anyway. Linebacker is also something I would consider here too. I'm going to go ahead and take a left tackle of the future. Isaiah World, Jude Bowery. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. I'm going to go with Hey Jude here. Both very, very interesting options that I think are developmental players that could be their future left tackle. For Taylor Decker, the injuries he's had to at this point, at least finding a good swing tackle. I don't know if I see with Manu. I love him, love the story and everything like that, but let's go ahead and continue that. Seattle Seahawks at number 55. I am taking a player. This is an easy one for me. You go look at this offensive line. Go get that right guard of the future, Cade Peeper. Where is he? Where's Peeper? I don't know. Where is he? You may not be out. Okay. No Peeper. All right. We're gonna have to throw a curveball. I mean, I guess we could use a placeholder. Maybe we go Logan Jones here and just say it's Cade Peeper. I hate to do that because then it's like, well, you look at this and you're like, well, who is it, right? Is it Logan Jones? I guess we could do that because I really want to go Cade Peeper. I think he fits perfectly with like Kubiak's. So does Jones too. I mean, I just don't think Jones is really a round 2 guy. I think Peeper is. I think Peeper could. Jones is a good football player. I don't want to discount him or anything, but Let's go ahead and take Logan Jones. That's going to be Cade Peeper for this mock draft. This is why I like to do template mock drafts too. And PFF, they do a lot of work. I get it. It's not easy to put all these guys in here. So I don't want to hate on that or anything because it is tough. It's not as easy as people think. Ultimately, we'll go Cade Peeper. Perfect scheme fit for Kubiak in that offense. Number 56, Buffalo Bills. We went offensive line. We went Chase Bisontis in the first round. Let's go ahead and get a linebacker of the future or a safety. Those are the two areas I'd be looking at. This safety class is really, really good, and I still feel very good about a lot of these safeties. Let's go safety here. Let's go AJ Halsey. Let's go get him from LSU. Going to be that back end defender, really good playmaker, something that they're kind of missing in that back end. So, yeah, I want to go ahead and get more turnovers, and AJ Halsey can do that. Now we go on to the Bucks here. Number 50, what is this? 56, 57 for the Bucks. First pick, we got Caleb Banks. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take a look at some other positions depth-wise for this football team. They're in a pretty good standpoint, but linebacker would be one that I would be looking at that they could really fill right now. I'm going to go with Jay Goldday from Cincinnati. I think he's been excellent this season. He's got good size. He's a good athlete, not an elite athlete, but a good enough athlete. He plays an interesting role as like an overhang linebacker a lot in the slot, but he can take on blocks. He's not afraid to get in the trash and do the dirty work, and he can cover somewhat. He's not going to be the best cover guy or anything like that, but he definitely could be a nice upgrade in their linebacking core, especially if Levante David retires. That would be tough. On to the Patriots. Next pick for them, we went Chris Bell. Just a BPA approach is what it is. Not the biggest need right now. However, I'm not forcing anything. I'm going to continue to invest where you're just saying good football players, right? This pick here, I'm going to get an edge rusher. Let's continue to beef up the trenches. There's still a couple of really good edge rushers on the board too, but I'm going to go get Anto Saka from Northwestern, a speedster that I think will really rise up boards when the combine comes around. Watch out for this guy. He's got insane athlete. One of the better edge rushing athletes in this class. Philadelphia Eagles, I would have gone with him actually at this point too, which we could look at an edge rusher here, and I'm going to look at an edge rusher because that is something that they could use some help. They called on Brandon Graham. They're like, hey, we need some help. Please help us out here. Let's go get who do we want? Found a guy, Clev Lubin here from Louisville. This is the dude I have seen just watching some games and stuff, like Miami game and Boston College most recently. I thought he's been super dominant off the edge. He's got more power than you would think. He's undersized. There's no doubt about it. He's probably like 6'2", maybe even under. Who knows? Yeah, probably around 6'2". He's got good length, though, for his size. Good power profile as well, considering his size as well. So he's somebody fit in here for Vic Fangio. I think he's that kind of style that they'll be looking for. Lubin definitely has a lot of upside there and potential. So let's go ahead and add in Clev Lubin for the Eagles. Number 60, Indianapolis Colts. We went offensive line with their first pick. Let's add a linebacker here. All right, maybe we can. There's some good linebackers available. I am going to Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill. I'm going to go get Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. He's one of the best linebackers in the country, though. This guy he's just always around the football. He's a nasty tackler. Oh, man. Jeez Louise. Rodriguez. Stop it. On to number 61, the Rams here. We got Spencer Fanu and Darian Mensah. Let's improve the secondary now. They did just trade for Robert McCreary, so that's good. Roger McCreary is going to help out. Now, he is going to be a free agent, so they could still look to improve that. So there's no doubt about it. So I'm not going to, ignore that completely. I still think it's something we could address and add some size into the room. So if I'm going to add a corner, it's going to be somebody with some size. And the guy that I would be looking at here, if there's anybody that I would be curious with, it's Will Lee. Here he is. I was trying to look for him. Where did he go? I know he's on the board here somewhere. I think he'd be the absolute Ahkello Witherspoon type of replacement that this team could use. Will Lee he's not the best athlete or anything like that, but he's just an imposing force that has that, it's my ball mentality sort of thing you look for with corners. You can't really teach some of that sometimes, and Will Lee has a lot of that in his game. Let's go on to the Chiefs here at 30 in the second round. Their first pick, we went after LT Overton. I want to add a running back. I mean, Patrick Mahomes being the leading rusher, I believe still. We could address that, right? We could definitely improve that. Justice Haynes. The only thing I worry about a little bit with Jadarian Price is the pass protection stuff. Especially for the Chiefs, you got to be able to pass protect. So Haynes, not the greatest pass protector either, I will say. But I think we'll go ahead and take Haynes feel a little bit better about that. Yeah, Haynes is tough. I'll be honest. It is kind of tough. Jadarian Price is a heck of a football player too, and he'll probably go here in a minute. On to the pack. Here we go. 31 at the second round. First pick they gave away, of course, for Micah Parsons. Now I want to say, all right, what do we want to do here to beef up the defensive line a little bit? Let's add a run defender in here. Not something they have to do, but I think they could use a little bit more help after losing Kenny Clark. Maybe we can find a bit of a replacement there. Big Citrus is a good football player. Caden McDonald's been excellent this year. Christian Miller is a good football player. Love the Godfather, but the injury sort of thing is going to be something that has to get question marked about. I'll go add in the Georgia Bulldog, Christian Miller, to that defense line. Really solid football player. I don't know if he's going to, high-end athlete or anything like that, but good football player. Final pick of the second round, Denver Broncos. First pick, we got after some help with Kenyon Sadiq. Now let's go ahead and add some offensive line. Let's future-proof ourselves. Get a little younger in the trenches is my opinion on this. Guy that I'm going to go after here. Let's see if he's available. Let's see if they have him here. Braylon, where are you? Jordan, Braylon Moore. Don't see Braylon Moore. Okay, so we're going to have to change paces here. No Braylon Moore from LSU. Instead, I'll go ahead and find a developmental right tackle. He can sit behind McGlinchey for a season. Also, just be a swing tackle for them. But they're going to have to get younger at some point. They're getting older on that offensive line, and McGlinchey's, 33 or something like that, somewhere around there next season. So, got to go ahead and think about that long term. On to the Saints in the third round, should I say. We're in 65. The Saints' first round pick. We got Mendoza and we got Concepcion. Let's get some defense. All right, now it's time to get some defense. I'm going to be looking at a linebacker of the future here. Let's go get Texas, close to home, not too far away at least. Ooh, actually, Whit Weeks. Hey, let's go. Whit Weeks, good football player. I'm down with that. I will say is we could use some secondary help too, even though McKitchery's haven't had one of his best weeks. Quincy Riley's not been too bad on the outside either. And Alontae Taylor's a free agent, so that would be something where it's like maybe you could go ahead and draft like a Xavier Scott in that point. That'd be another pick to watch out. Ooh, that'd be a fun one too. Maybe I'll have to do that in some other draft. But for right now, Whit Weeks, hey, pair him up with Pete Warner. On the Tennessee Titans here, first round, we got Ruben Bain, and then we got Jeremy Bernard trying to improve this team as much as we can. I wouldn't mind getting a center here, to be honest with you, or just at least somebody else on that offensive line. I'll be real. But the offensive line at this point has kind of been picked upon pretty hard. I don't know if there's any, again, Braylon Moore would be somebody I consider, but that Braylon Moore is not, they don't have him in the PFF simulator, and I've already done enough, moving and teetering and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get a corner. They need cornerback help really, really bad. So let's add in somebody. Let's go get Xavier Scott here. Will be a nice little replacement. We were just talking about Xavier Scott too. Hey, I think he'd be a good slot replacement for Roger McCreary. On the Eagles, at this pick here, we've gone edge. We've gone after corner. What about a tight end, right? Maybe it's time to draft and develop a tight end. Let's go get Joe Royer from Cincinnati, the Bearcat. Good, solid size, can be that inline guy for this football team and a nice receiving threat. Be your developmental guy, even if Dallas Goedert comes back for a season or so. Cleveland, back on the clock here. We've got heavy offense, really heavy offense. Let's go and get some help on the defense side of the ball. We can't completely ignore it, right? I gotta try to get some sort of help here. So I'm gonna go get an edge rusher here. I'm gonna go get T.J. Parker from Clemson. Yeah, you can tell I'm much lower on T.J. Parker. I think he's more of a developmental guy, and you can develop him into that. Here's my view on it, okay? Like Isaiah McGuire going to be going into a contract year. Their contract situation is a little bit tricky. So there's that. Not to mention Alex Wright is a free agent after this offseason. I think he'll get paid somewhere. So that's why, look, if Alex Wright's back, then that's not something they have to go after. Maybe you go corner instead here. But for right now, that's something we could also consider as going after an edge rusher. Now we go on to the Vegas Raiders here. We've gone defensive heavy. Let's get some offensive help. Receiver is certainly in the cards. I also wouldn't mind a developmental quarterback here. Oof, that is very interesting. Josh Hoover is sticking out to me. That would be a really good pick for them. They do need receiver really bad, though. This is a tough one. Could we wait? We could wait. They could say, hey, we can go fourth round, go quarterback, too. Because it's like you got Chris Brasley, you got Denzel Boston. Omar Cooper's here. Unbelievable. You got some insane. Okay, I can't pass up. I can't pass up on one of these guys. Let's go get Denzel Boston. I can't pass up on the talent there. They could trade up back in for a quarterback later. Like that's kind of what we can do if need be. Vikings back on the clock here. Let's take a look. They've gone CJ Allen. They've gone Jeremiah Love. Let's go ahead and get a corner. All right, it's time. They need cornerback help too. That's true. They do need cornerback help. So let's go ahead and get a cornerback in here. We'll select Julian Neal here out at Arkansas. I was looking for him. Like, where's Julian Neal? Here he is. Julian Neal from Arkansas. Really good size profile. Better athlete than you would think, too. He's been very, very good. Hey, Arkansas. They're no schmuck. I mean, Trevick Brown, Busta Brown, right? They produce some decent corners out here. Julian Moore for the Vikings. Give him a little more size on the outside, what I'm looking for to complement what they currently have in Rodgers and Murphy. On to the Houston Texans as we're ending this draft here, getting close to pick number 74 and highlighting that. And with this one for the Houston Texans, remember, we've gone after offensive line, defensive line, and a safety. Now let's add a linebacker to be able to develop here. I'm going to go get Anthony Hill Jr., the Texas Oklahomans linebacker there with his athletic profile. Let him be that 1-2 punch with Azeez Al-Shahir. I'm vibing with that one. He's a monster coming downhill. On to the Dolphins. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take Chris Brazzell. Actually, I don't mind that pick at all. I think that'd be a really wide receiver is probably just best available to. We've at least attacked some sort of trenches here with Austin Seyerfield. Defensive line still could be something they go, but they've invested in, as I said before. Linebacker could be something we look at too. But I'm gonna go ahead and take Chris Brazzell. I can't let him fall even further than this. I think he could be a second round player. So, I mean, some of these receivers are falling at this point. Cardinals now on the clock here at 72. We've gone receiver, we've gone offensive line. Let's go ahead and now let's address some defensive help. Okay, let's continue to invest in the defense. Let's get a linebacker here. I am going to go. Lander Barton's a good football player. We could go Lander Barton. Anybody else? I'm going a little fast here. I'm just trying to see who I want to go with. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and take Lander Barton here. I think he's a good football player from Utah. He's had a resurgence season. Everyone was kind of hyping him up last year. Had a bit of a down season, and this year has really been a key cog for that Utah defense and been a staple leader for them. And he could be a nice little addition to that defensive line, especially if they've got some new coaching possibly coming in. Maybe they use linebacker a little bit more than what they're currently using them. On it to the Carolina Panthers at 74 overall, the final pick of the draft. And with this pick, first up, we went after Apani Laulu, and we got Sonny Styles. So, hey, it finished up with, we at least got one center in the last pick there. So it is what it is. But with the final pick here, I'm going to go get John Henry Daly from Utah. He's been another immense player on that UT defensive line. So we're finishing up there with this draft with 2 Utah players. And yeah, John Hunter Daly, he's got a surprising little bull rush there over Utah, man. He's a little stronger than you'd think he'd be. But yeah, I want to continue to bolster up the pass rush. Him and Princely Umami-Allen and Nick Gordon just continuing to bolster it up. Do it here for this special edition 74 pick mock draft in honor of Nick Mangold. Let's go, Jets Nation, Ring of Honor. Let's freaking go, man. I love it. So tough. It is tough, right? He's a great football player, great guy from everything I've seen out there in interviews and people, what they say about him and family and all those sort of things. I don't know the guy personally or anything like that, but I love Nick Mangold. I love, as a Jets fan growing up watching him, it was a a lot of special moments. I'll say that right now. So a lot of good memories there. And yeah, hopefully a good enough mock draft in the honor. Probably need to improve some things, no doubt about it. Let me know where I went wrong for your team and all those sort of things. Agree or disagree. Always give me some thought process on this. It's always fun to do. I'll talk to you guys later though. Have a really good day.